Thanks, Ava. I'm here with my friend Kate, and we just got done walking in one of our favorite MetroParks. We've had a great time today.
We sure have. Do you remember those wildflowers we saw? They were beautiful.
They were pretty amazing. You know, even walking back to your apartment, Kate, with all this pavement under our feet, nature is still all around us.
It really is. You know, I found a way to bring nature back to my home. Would you all like to see it?
What do you guys think? I think that sounds like a plan. Let's go. Wow, Kate, these plants look so happy. How did you do this?
Well, Shawna, you and I are friends, and we have things in common, and we help each other out. I planted things that are friends and help each other out too.
Right, like today when we were walking in the woods and we saw certain plants growing together, like the nettle and the jewelweed.
Exactly, just like that. There are some plants in the garden that really just like to grow together. You can also plant things that not only help each other grow, but they also taste great together too, like my tomato and my basil plant. Would you all like to see?
Yeah, great. Kate, are these the tomato and the basil plants?
Yes, right here's the tomato plant, and right here's the tomato plant, and the basil plant is right here. Now, if you take a leaf and you rub the leaf with your fingers, and then, you smell it? It smells absolutely wonderful.
It's so smooth. Oh, and I love that smell.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, tomatoes and basil. That's what makes pizza taste so good. I'm looking around with all these plants. Kate, were you able to do this in one day?
Oh gosh, no. Oh, definitely not one day. So this took a really, really long time. So even when you plant, my little plants start out really, really small, and then it takes a while for them to grow real big. These took about 2.5 months to grow real big, but it takes every single day me coming out here and weeding and trimming up plants and making sure that they're growing really big and strong. So when I first started my garden, I couldn't decide if I wanted vegetables or flowers in my garden. But then I realized I didn't have to choose. They can all be happy together and they can grow really well together. And with that, I get lots of pollinators coming to my garden every day, and I get bees and butterflies and all kinds of things. It's really wonderful. There's one now.
Wow, I see everybody just flying around. And you know, tomato and basil work really, really well together because the basil repels critters that might like to eat the tomatoes and makes those tomatoes that are growing on the vine taste even sweeter. I think I recognize these flowers. Are these marigolds?
Yes, I planted marigolds to help keep certain critters away from the tomato that may want to eat it. Some critters think they are stinky, but I think they're really pretty, don't you?
I love their orange color, but let me see about this stinky business. Oh, that is pretty stinky. I can see why critters wouldn't want to eat them. You know, I realize that plants have to be healthy in order to bloom. How do you keep these plants so healthy?
I also keep the soil healthy by adding compost. So we collect our kitchen scraps and scraps from the garden, little pieces of plants and twigs and things like that, and then we add them to the compost bin. Hey, could I use that?
Sure.
Awesome. So see, I've got some pieces of kale, some eggshells, a couple little branches, and now your awesome banana peel, and it's going to make really, really nice compost for us.
So what do
See
we?
that?
Yeah.
So we're going to close it, and then we're going to turn it. Do you want to turn it?
I would love to. Kind of hard to turn.
Turn it maybe one more time.
Okay. Use my muscles.
All right, let's see. Look at that beautiful compost.
Oh my gosh, can I touch it?
Yeah, please do.
Wow, I'm holding it in my hands. And I see how things are breaking down. And you know what? It smells really good. It kind of smells like when you walk in the forest and you smell the leaves and everything after a rain. Look who I found crawling around in the compost.
Is that a little worm?
It is. It is. He must be in there helping things break down and keeping oxygen flowing. That's really cool.
You're doing a great job, little bud.
All right, we're going to put you back in so you can get back to work. Hey, you told me how to keep them healthy, but how do I tell all these plants apart?
Lots of practice. I get to know my plants like good friends. Tomatoes have sticky leaves and a fuzzy stem. And the leaves smell like a tomato, and they can even turn your fingers green.
Talk about a green thumb. How do these tomatoes get so big?
Well, they start off as these tiny flowers on the plant. Can you see?
Yeah, those flowers are small. And I remember when I was young, my grandpa told me about how the bees visit the flowers and move their yellow pollen all around. The flowers are what turn into the tomato. I think some of our friends might know this as pollination. And this is the reason why we get the fruits and vegetables that are so yummy to eat.
Can you see them growing? We have tiny flowers right here. And then down here, you can see the flowers die off and you get small fruits. And then the fruits get larger and larger. And these will soon turn red. That's when we know that they'll be good to eat.
Wow, those are going to be huge. Look over here.
Yeah, that's a different kind of tomato. There's lots of different kinds of tomatoes, and some of them are different colors and different shapes and different sizes. I'm really excited for these ones to get ripe. That's why I always try and make sure that I have flowers growing in my garden that pollinators will enjoy, like bees and butterflies, even hummingbirds.
Aren't you worried that that bee is going to sting you?
No. If you're really calm around the bee and you're not trying to bother it, they're not going to sting you. They're very calm.
I do know it's good to plant plants together that have the same kind of needs, like whether they need a lot of water or a lot of sunlight during the day.
Exactly. We have a spot on our roof right here. Can you see that rain chain? The rain comes down that chain and then comes down to the ground. But that spot gets rain really, really heavy, and the garden used to get super wet, like a big puddle. So I decided to plant hibiscus and swamp milkweed in that space to help soak up the water because they just love it so much.
It's good to plant plants of different sizes in the garden as well. These tall plants, like the cannas, provide support and shade, while smaller plants, like the coneflower, help keep out the weeds. Look at the white alyssum planted close to the marigolds. When you plant them this way, there is no room for the weeds to grow, which means less time weeding your garden. Kate, there really is a lot to discover in your garden.
That's how I like it. That's why I picked different colors of flowers and flowers that were different shapes and colors that can really make this garden pop and make it be fun to look at. Did you know that depending on the types of flowers that you plant, you can attract different kinds of pollinators, different insects to your garden?
I've heard that. Let's take a look at some of the critters that are visiting the garden today. Wow, look at the carpenter bee visiting the monarda.
Isn't it so fuzzy? Look at it go.
Wow, and the hummingbird with his long beak, he has the perfect tool to get nectar from the bee balm.
Look at this beautiful monarch butterfly. She uses the milkweed for food and as a place to lay her eggs. Aren't the colors of her wings so pretty? One of her sisters already stopped by and laid some eggs earlier. Let's take a look. Wow, look at those cute monarch caterpillars. By planting milkweed, my garden has become a nursery for these little caterpillars, keeping them safe while they grow up big and strong. Someday soon, they'll be flying in the sky.
Wow, the garden is buzzing with activity. Here's another buzzy bee, busy at the flowers. You know, Kate, after seeing your garden and learning about all these cool plants, I really wish that I could grow a garden too, but I'm afraid I just don't have the space.
Oh, Shawna, you can definitely grow a garden, even if you don't have that much space. Look, see, I've got some container gardens up here, and they don't need too much soil or too much space. And even over there, That one doesn't need hardly any soil at all. Can you see it?
I can. That is so wild. The plant is actually growing in between the bricks with just a small amount of soil. That's amazing.
You can really find space for gardens anywhere. And if you don't have space outside at all, you can always get a container and you can plant a house plant and have something green inside your home. If you can find a spot with sunshine and a clean container that can hold soil and places for extra water to come out, you can definitely have a container garden. For example, we have this one right here, which is an old vegetable crate, and it's got lots of really nice mint in it. Can you smell it? Isn't that the best?
Oh wow, that's like the best chewing gum I've ever smelled.
It really does smell wonderful. And then this one right here is a little bit wacky, but I like it a lot. It's an old laundry container, a laundry bin, and I put potatoes in it. Isn't that silly?
I think I passed a bucket when I was sitting down in the chair, and it's got something growing in it.
Can you tell what it is?
That's a tomato, just like we saw earlier.
Yeah, I planted it this morning. Isn't it neat?
You can grow a tomato in a bucket?
You can. If you have an adult to help you drill holes in the bottom of the bucket to let some extra water out, you can definitely grow a tomato in there. You just need some really good soil and some compost, and you need a tomato, and that's all you need.
Wow, and that means I can grow my own tomatoes for my own pizza sauce.
Exactly. This is a garden that I have in my apartment, but people plant gardens in lots of different places for food, for flowers, and for nature.
You know who else has a city garden? Our friends at Adventure Central. Let's check in with them and see what they have growing.
Thanks, Shawna. Miss Crystal and I are here at Adventure Central in our very own garden in the middle of the city. We have lots of vegetables in our garden, and Kate had tons of beautiful flowers in her garden. So let's visit our garden here at Adventure Central. So one of my favorite plants here in the garden is the dill. I love dill. It's good in salads, like potato salad. Ooh, and I love them with pickles. That's why they call them dill pickles. Yes, it's the best. Remember the awesome pollinators we saw at Kate's house? Well, guess what? We wanted pollinators in our garden as well. So we built these awesome mason bee houses. Pollinators are crucial to every garden. No pollinators, no garden. Another vegetable that we have in our garden is zucchini. The flowers are edible and they're great in breads, sauteed, or even fresh as a fresh vegetable. The vines grow 8 feet long and they come from tiny seeds.
So remember those itty bitty seeds from the garden? Well, let's make our own windowsill garden. For this activity, we're going to need dirt, seeds, water, and a container. I'm going to use this container, which kind of has a bottom to it, but it also has holes at the bottom. So I'm going to set these two pieces in together, and then I'll add my dirt, like so. And it's okay if you get a little messy. You just want to make sure that you put your dirt evenly in the bottom of the container. So we have a little dirt there, and press it down in each one. Eggshell cartons or egg cartons are also very good for this activity. The cardboard ones, because you don't need holes at the bottom, you can put water in them and that cardboard dries up really quickly. So once you get your dirt down into your container, you're going to put your seed. Put a seed in each container, like so. There we go, 5 and 6, just like that. And then we're going to cover it up with some more dirt. And again, don't be afraid to get messy. This is the best part of gardening, is that you don't have to be neat. So once you have your seeds covered up, you're going to water just a little bit. You just want to put just a little bit of water in each section that you put a seed. And then I'm going to cover it with my container that will keep some of the heat in as I put it in the seal, and then we'll take it over to the windowsill. All right, so the next step is very important because our plants need sun to grow. So you want to set your garden right up into the window and it'll get all the sun.
Our pals at Adventure Central showed us how easy it can be to get a garden growing with just a few supplies.
We can't wait to see what you creative campers decide to grow at home. Back to you, Ava.